All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm Dustin Brackett. I'm your HubSpot user group leader. I've been in the HubSpot ecosystem for about 8 years now, and I'm one of only 65 HubSpot certified trainers in the US. I'm also the founder and CEO of HIVE Strategy, an inbound marketing agency and Diamond HubSpot solutions partner, as well as HIVE Hub, which is a fractional HubSpot admin and HubSpot task management service for end users as well as agencies. Today, we have a very special guest and HubSpot celebrity, Kyle Jepson, presenting on things every HubSpot admin needs to know. Kyle is a senior inbound sales professor with HubSpot, and if you don't follow Kyle on LinkedIn, you need to immediately do that because you're really missing out. Welcome, Kyle.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Those of you who do follow me on LinkedIn or have watched me on HubSpot Academy and are familiar with the sound of my voice may notice it is not my normal voice today. I do have a cold, and so I'm really hoping I can get through this. If not, I will lean heavily into the chat, and we will see how that goes. But I'm really grateful to be here. I'm excited. You've all come, more than 100 people in the room now. That's fantastic. I'm really excited to talk with you all. So this session is called Things Every HubSpot Admin Needs to Know. I am, well, let's see. Here's a little intro to me. As he said, I'm an inbound sales professor. I'm the author of 6 HubSpot Academy certifications, daily LinkedIn video creator. My HubSpot tips and tricks hashtag has become a thing. I'm very proud of that. Married father of 3. You can see my family here. I figure if you don't know what I look like, you will by the end of this presentation, but this is the rest of me. It's an old picture. But we've never managed to take a cuter one, so I just keep sticking with it. I'm the bishop of Latter-day Saint congregation, and I am the founder and leader of the HubSpot Admin Hug, which I want to highlight here. Since this session is called Things Every HubSpot Admin Needs to Know, I suppose many of you may be interested to know that this hug exists. And I apologize, Dustin. I know it's not really normal to come to one hug and advertise another, but just by presenting it inbound and doing other things, I've learned that there are a lot of people interested in this topic, as evidenced by the fact that there are more than 100 people here right now. So I'm just going to drop this URL into the chat. Join this hug, please. We've got a ton of events coming up. We're averaging more than one a week. Tomorrow, we've got one going into data sets, Operations Hub Enterprise Tool. Next week, we've got one about how to create documentation. Week after that, we're talking about advanced workflows. If you want to up your workflow game, that's going to be a good one. Week after that, we're talking about CRM adoption and utilization. We've got one on record associations. And if you've ever wondered why you can't associate one contact to another, we're going to talk about that and talk about how we're working to fix that. The newest one I just added, we're going to have a custom coded workflow actions panel discussion. Come see some real examples and get your questions answered. And already in next year, we've got one about CMS migrations, one about the HubSpot mobile app, one about HubSpot's onboarding packages. And then if you've missed any of our past ones, you can find them all here, including 3 called Things Every HubSpot Admin Needs to Know. One about implementing, one about optimizing, one about troubleshooting. And if you just click on any one of these, the page will load and there is a recording. So I just mentioned that because I really think admins in HubSpot, your time has come. And I am here to champion for you and to give you the resources you need. Yeah, so I did a talk at Inbound called Things Every HubSpot Admin Needs to Know, and then I repurposed it as a 3-part webinar series for my hug, and now I'm doing it again here. And so you may be thinking, if you're a sassy HubSpot user, getting a little lazy there, Kyle, just giving the same presentation over and over again. I would love for the answer to this question to be yes. I would love to just have one deck I can use to tell you what HubSpot admins need to know and just give it over and over and over again. But it doesn't work. I can't. It's impossible because let me just give you an example to explain why. In my inbound presentation, I talked about how to optimize your deal, your sales pipeline. And I gave these 5 bullet points, and I did demos for each of these products: playbooks, required properties, deal stage probability, forecasting, products, and quotes. Inbound was less than 2 months ago. But if I gave you that exact same presentation today, it'd be wrong because Playbooks has a new functionality that's rolling out right now. That'll be live November 14th. It's going to change some things. I'll show you that in just a minute. Required properties moved down to starter. When I gave this talk at Inbound, they were a pro and enterprise feature. Now they're a starter feature. And just earlier this week, I announced that they now are reflected in the deal builder when you create new deals. So I'll show you those things in just a minute. Deal stage probability hasn't changed, but we've added deal stage locking So when a deal moves into a particular stage, it can't be edited anymore. And preferred currencies on the deal board, I'll show you that also in just a minute. Forecasting hasn't had a serious update in the last 2 months, but it's sort of been upended by this new inline editing experience, which I'll talk to you about in a little bit. And products and quotes, we now have fractional quantities. That happened in May, but we now have fractional prices too, which happened right around inbound. And so I can't just give the same presentation over and over because everything is different. So honestly, like, there's really only one thing every HubSpot admin needs to know. There's just one. And it's this. HubSpot gets a little bit better every single day. Literally, like, this is not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating. I have built a career and like a following in LinkedIn by posting videos every single business day of new features in HubSpot. And it's not enough. I have a huge backlog of features I haven't gotten to yet because one video a day is insufficient to keep up. And so if you want to be a HubSpot admin, really the only thing you need to know is you never know everything, and that's okay. The best thing you can do is connect with your peers, join a HUG, join some other group, be active in the HubSpot community, follow me on LinkedIn, I guess, and do the best you can to keep up. So that's my speech. That's the thing HubSpot admins need to know. I just want to talk about these things right here. I want to hold myself to for this session talking about the experience of managing your sales pipeline inside of HubSpot, because that's so core to everything else you're going to do. You really, like, your company needs to make revenue if it's going to continue being a company. So let's talk about playbooks a little bit. Playbooks, for anyone who's not familiar, is a super cool tool. If we go to, well, we'll go to my deal pipeline real quick to show you. If I just open up a deal here, well, we'll go to board view. So this is a deal board. Hopefully you're all familiar with this. Each of these little squares represents a sale in progress, and you can drag and drop them to the different stages of your sales process. And when you open them up, you see a page that looks like this. All CRM records in HubSpot look something like this. You got 3 columns. On the left, you have general information, property values. In the middle, you have kind of chronological timeline of interactions with this record. And on the right, you have miscellaneous other stuff, associated records and playbooks. And playbooks, when you open them up, they look like this. They open in this new window. We recently added, this is another thing that's new, this outline thing. You can hide that if you don't like it. And you can put pictures, you can put words, you can format things, and then you can add these interactive questions. So as your sales reps are having a call, they can just ask, like, hey, what are your top initiatives at your company right now? And they can just click the buttons to record these things. They can add additional notes if they want, but the whole idea here is to make it easier for your reps to collect the information they need without having to spend their whole call thinking about taking notes, right? And most sales reps won't do that. They just won't take notes at all, and then things get forgotten. This makes it really easy for them to remember to ask the important questions, to capture the information they get as they go through with as little effort on their part as possible. So this is playbooks at the most basic level. And this used to be an enterprise feature. It's moved down to pro. So if you have Sales Hub Professional, you can set up a playbook like this. Again, you can put images in here. You can put videos in here if you want the playbook to be something they do to research and prep before a call. Whatever you want, really, you can put in here. Then they can use it during their call. They can log it as a call, save different outcomes, that sort of thing. What has stayed in the enterprise level is the ability to connect these questions to properties inside your CRM. So for example, this one, when did this demo happen? This is going to update a deal property, date of demo. So I have a custom date property I've created called date of demo. And when the rep is on their call and they're doing their demo, they can just click the today button, and now that's recorded. And that's going to be put not just in the playbook, but in a property in the CRM. And that's great. Again, this is at the enterprise level. It's great because now you can trigger automation with this and do reports and all kinds of things. The thing that's rolling out right now, it is in the process of rolling out. We're hoping to get it out to everybody by the 14th of this month, is fixing an experience with playbooks that's been kind of lousy. So this playbook updates deal properties. But the funny thing about playbooks is you can open them on any sort of record. So if we open HubSpot, for instance, That's the company that's associated with that deal. If you go to the playbook and go to demo outline, oh no, we can't update it because we're looking at the wrong property type. That's going to be different by the 14th. What's going to happen is playbooks will now look at associated records. And if you're updating a deal property, but you're on a company record, it will update that property on the associated deal. So this is really going to make playbooks work a lot better. You could have playbook questions that update properties on different kinds of records, right? You could update contact records, you could update company records, you could update deal records, and you're not going to have to jump around to all those different records to update them. You could just have the playbook be the place that you update all these things, and it'll flow through the associations and work. So again, that is currently impossible. As you can see, it does not work for me here in this demo, but we are rolling that out. For some of you, it probably already works today. We've rolled it out to, I think, about 15% of HubSpot users, but by the 14th, it'll be 100%. So if you have Sales Hub Enterprise, if you have the ability to connect playbooks to properties, I definitely encourage you to start thinking more expansively about what that experience looks like, because it's about so many more things are going to be possible now. And if you think about the purpose of a playbook as streamlining things for your sales rep, for them to be able to update properties on multiple record types without having to jump around to those records is huge. It's huge. So be very excited about that. Now let's talk about required properties. So again, when I demoed this at Inbound, I said this is a professional level feature, and since then it's moved down to starter. So if we go to our deal board again, the idea of required properties is that when a deal moves from one stage to another, we're going to have this pop-up that's going to require certain properties to be filled in. So again, this date of demo thing, right? I can't move it into my demo completed field if I haven't actually completed the demo. And the thing that's really powerful here, right, is if you have that playbook that your reps are using to guide them through the demo process, and they're updating the playbook and it's updating properties, then when they move the deal, this is all going to be populated already, right? And so anyway, you fill these things in. You have to fill in the required ones before you can save it. Otherwise, the deal just scuttles back to where you tried to drag it from. Super cool. Very, very powerful. The way you set this up is if we just edit the stages of this for a minute, we can see for different properties, you can, or for different stages in this pipeline, you can add properties, and you can add them as just a property, right? And then it's optional. It pops up, but if your rep doesn't want to fill it in, they don't have to. Or you can make it required, meaning it cannot move it. A deal cannot move into that stage if that property is empty. So you can add these to all the stages or any stages, wherever it makes the most sense for you. And then when you're back here, you get that experience I just showed you. But there's always been this gaping loophole, which is if you just create a new deal and you put it into a particular stage, those required properties were not enforced. That just changed, or is in the process of changing. There's a beta right now you can opt into called something like surface stage properties when creating a new deal or ticket. It's got a lovely name. But you'll notice here, when I create a deal name is required, pipeline is required, deal stage is required, amount is not required, deal owner is required, and that's all. But if I change this to demo completed, now those additional properties pop up, right? And so even if I'm creating a brand new deal, I have to follow those same rules. And this is just packaged together. It's not a new feature. It's not something you have to set up separately. It's just an extension of the functionality that's already existed. One caveat here I should mention is that this loophole has not been fully closed on the mobile app yet. So if your reps are creating a lot of deals or tickets using the mobile app and you have required properties, opting into this beta will not fix that yet, which is why it's still in beta. This part works fine. We have confidence in the feature you're seeing on my screen right now. It will leave beta once it is enforced across both desktop and mobile, but still a big step in the right direction and something that is new since I talked at Inbound. Now let's talk about deal stage probability. I don't have any new updates to share with you here, but I think this is there's a lot of opportunity here where admins are kind of living below their privileges in the help that that HubSpot gives them in optimizing their deal pipelines. I'm saying I should say you are all admins. That's why you're here. And I know many of you may not realize that this option exists. So if we go back to our deal settings again, and we look at our pipeline here, I have multiple pipelines set up, but for any pipeline, you have this deal probability. And basically you just add a probability here. And in our most basic forecasting reports, what we do is we take the value of the amounts of the deals in a given deal stage and multiply it by this probability. And then we add those all together. And that's how we forecast your revenue for a particular time period. This is a very basic form of forecasting. We'll get to the more advanced forecasting in a minute. But it's pretty foundational and pretty basic to set up. For a long time, for years and years, you had to go in multiples of 10. If you really wanted like 33%, you could not do that. You can now. This is as of a few years ago, we added this ability. You can have it be whatever you want. But there's still kind of this open question of what should these probabilities be? And the correct answer, of course, is you look at your deal data and you figure it out. But the very reasonable rejoinder to that is, Kyle, how? Tell me how. And there's actually a great report for this. If you have access to the sales analytics tool, which I believe is a Sales Hub professional tool, you have a really great report for this that you may not know actually does this because it's not branded in such a way that you would know it does this. So sales analytics, if you're not familiar, is just a bunch of pre-built, ready to go reports. And I love the reports in here. They're so pretty. They show so many different things. We're at the beginning of a month, so we're not going to see very much stuff here. But if we show all data, well, never mind. How about some other pipeline? There we go. We can see different amounts doing different things. And it's nice. Well, date range yesterday. I'll stop playing with this. Anyway, the point is you can create these reports pretty easily. If you have real data in your CRM, unlike me, they will look really nice. You have filters where you can change them here. You can, if you don't know what the report is for, we've given you this description to help you understand what it's for. It's great. But the deal funnel report is the one I want to tell you about. It's the one that's really relevant to your deal stage probabilities, because what you can do here is you can, man, where are all my, there we go. All right. Let's do all data. This would be nice. Okay, there we go. So now you can see a funnel of your deal stages in a particular pipeline, how they are converting one to the next, which is great. It's worth knowing. But when it comes to your deal stage probabilities, what's going to be really great is that you can filter by stage, right? So if you just want to know how many go from appointment scheduled to closed one, how many go that full distance, 53.47. There's your number. You take that back, you put that into your deal stage probability, and now it's based on real data. It's based on your historical conversion rate. And you can do that for every single one of these, right? You want to do presentation scheduled to closed one, you'll get another number, 42.37. And you can feed that back in. So now your deal stage probabilities that you set up in your settings are going to be based on your real sales data. And that's going to make your basic forecasts so much more reliable, because rather than picking a number based on your intuitions or however we've been picking numbers historically, you can base it on your real data. And if you have a solid sales process that's repeatable and robust, the conversion rate from one step to the next is going to stay pretty solid from month to month or quarter to quarter, or however you measure your sales cycles. So that's a key tip. You can take this number, copy it, go back to your sales settings, and drop it into those probabilities and get much, much better deal stage probability reports. So that's cool. Let's talk about deal stage lock. This one is new. It just happened a week or so ago. And the team who built this is hungry for your feedback and input. I believe this is another beta that you need to opt yourself into. But once you have, if you go to the same page we were on before, objects, and deals and pipelines, what you can do now, we'll keep with this one, is there's this new editing access column. See, it's new. So in addition to the stage name, which you can change, and the deal probability we just talked about, and the stage properties, which we talked about, there's now this editing access thing where you can say, once a deal moves to a particular stage, we want to limit it so that only super admins can edit this stuff in that stage. And this is really great, especially for closed deals, to make sure nothing gets tampered with after the fact that might throw off your data. Right now, that is the full extent of the feature. And so actually, if we just real quick, this will not be, give me a second and I'll log in as not a super admin, and I'll show you what it looks like when that happens. Okay. All right. Well, maybe I won't. HubSpot's just a little too secure. We'll come back to this. Anyway, it grays it out and it locks it down so that you can't edit it. The thing we're looking for feedback on is that sufficient? Is that good enough? Is that what you want in general? When I posted a video about this on LinkedIn, we got lots of comments from people who were like, oh, we really want our BDRs to kind of own the first half of the pipeline. But once they hand it off to the account executives, we want the BDRs to not be able to edit things anymore and the account executives to do the editing. So in that case, how would you want that to work? Would this be like you could select specific teams that can edit the deals in each stage? Would it be some other way? We would love your input on that. So if you opt into this beta and use it, you should see a little pop-up here asking for your feedback. Are you happy with it? Smiley face. Are you meh with it? Not smiley face. Are you upset about it? Frowny face. Give us some feedback. Let us know how exactly you'd like it to work. This is a kind of a wild new world for deal management inside of HubSpot, and we're really excited to get it right, but we need your feedback to help with that. So that's that. Embarrassing. Sorry. And now I've lost my presentation. There it is. Okay. Preferred currencies. This one I'm super excited about, not just because of what it allows you to do, but because of what it hints might be coming at the future. And I have to be transparent with you here. I don't actually know what's coming in the future in this particular area. I don't know any more than you do. But check this out. A thing we added recently is on the deal board, when you're looking at your deals, down here at the bottom, you see the total of each column. And now if you mouse over it, if you hover over it, you see some additional information, and you can view in your preferred currency, and that opens this little side. And if you say my preferred, currency is the Bulgarian lev, look now when I view, just me personally, when I view this, even though all my deals are in dollars because that's what we transact in, I can see the total in the currency I'm familiar with, my preferred one. And if I mouse over it, I will see it in the company currency, so I can keep track of both. That feature is just tucked away under board actions here. We've had edit cards for a while, which is awesome. I encourage each of your sales reps to come in and choose the size of their cards and whether or not priority and records are associated. And do they want this information? They should want that information, but it's up to them. And do you want to mark different cards as inactive after a certain amount of time? All of these options are super great, and each rep can set them up for themselves to make the deal board most helpful to them in their prioritization. But we now have this board area over here. Right now, the only thing you can do is edit the currency down at the bottom of the page. But I'm really excited that this new real estate exists. This is what I meant when I said I'm really happy about what this suggests for the future. I haven't heard of any plans for other things that might be added here, but just the fact that this is now here opens up opportunities. I'm sure our product team is thinking about how this new real estate will be used and what might be put here. And so hopefully there's more to come. But today, the preferred currency thing, if you work in multiple currencies, that's going to be a big deal for you and your reps. It's going to make life a lot easier. So that, I'm all confused now. That's preferred currency. Now let's talk about forecasting. So I talked about basic forecasting reports. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2020, we added this whole new forecasting app. It's just under sales forecast. And you get this dashboard where you can see, if you're looking at all teams, you can see at a team level how everyone's doing, how the team is doing against their goals. I haven't set goals, so you can't really see it here. And if you want the team to submit a forecast, they can do that here. And then if you click into individual teams, you can see how the members of that team are doing against their individual goals, and they can also submit their forecasts, which will then roll up to the team submitted forecast. And then if you click a level deeper and look at just a particular user, you can see all their deals. And this was so great because we added this next step thing. And if you're having a one-to-one with your rep, checking in, doing a deal review, and like, oh, this deal is stalled or whatever, you can add next steps like, reschedule demo or whatever. And that's just a deal property. Your rep can make it appear on their the left sidebar of their deal records. And so they always know what to do. And that's great. This was kind of like home base for you to run your one-to-ones. And to update deals as they went on, right? You can edit the deal stage from here. You can edit the amount from here. You can edit the forecast category if you're using forecast categories. It was so powerful and so new and so great. But now, everywhere in HubSpot, everywhere in HubSpot, when you're looking at a list view, everything is editable right from here. You don't ever have to click into a deal anywhere. You can edit all the things you want. You could add, if we want to just add a column for next steps here, you can totally do that. And now just the normal deal board works and brings all that functionality that the forecasting app was so proud of. And this is not just for deals; it's for all of your records, all of your objects of all kinds. You can edit properties on the fly, and you can do as many as you want, and it is okay. And then when you're done, you can click save, or if you made mistakes, if you change things accidentally, you can just hit cancel. So we are really rethinking this forecast page. It still has information that you don't see elsewhere, like how reps are doing against their goal attainment. This ability to forecast or submit a forecast is huge. And to kind of dig in and see this stuff right here, coverage ratio and qualified to buy, and to use your forecast categories if you've set those up. That's all really good. But kind of the main value prop here was the ability to edit deals from a list view. And now that's just standard. So that team is really kind of trying to figure out what the next steps for the forecast app are. If you are an avid user of the forecast app, or if you would like to be and it just is missing a few features, I really encourage you to float some ideas on the idea forum or to find some way to give feedback to that team, because they would really love to make this something special that all sales teams want to use all the time. So that's the forecasting tool. And now, as my final stop before I just open it up for Q&A, I would really love to talk about products and quotes. So products and quotes are super fun. If you're on a deal, we'll find a deal and we'll open it up. How about this one? Oh, that one's closed one. Let's not do that one. Let's find one that's not closed one. Let's use an appropriate view so we can see which ones are not closed one. How about this crazy good deal? That sounds wonderful. So we will, we already have a quote here. We'll add a new one. So if you were working a deal and you want to send a quote to the user or to your customer, you have this opportunity here to do that. And you can add products to them. So I forget if it's starter or professional where you get the products library. But if you have that set up, you can select from your product library, and you can just have all your products set up here. You can have them organized into folders. You can do whatever you want. But I think even if you're just using the free version of HubSpot, you get the ability to create custom line items where you just on the fly say, this is the name of the product, and you can give it a price of $100 or whatever, and you can save it, and it goes on here. And then once you take a product and you associate it with a quote, it's now a line item, and you're going to have specific things like quantity. How many of these things is this person buying? And you can do discounts from here. And that's all really great. The thing that is new, two things are fairly new. So like I said, in May, we gave you the ability to do fractional quantities. So this is especially important if you're offering services at like an hourly rate, and someone wants, 4.5 hours. You used to only be able to do whole quantities here. Now you can do fractional quantities, whatever you want. Similarly, unit price. if you offer, I think one example I've seen is like we charge, 0.012 cents per API call. And the only way to reflect that on a HubSpot quote is here's a bundle of 1,000 of them for 12 cents. Now you can do up to, I think, 6 decimal points here. And the quote can handle it, and it will calculate the totals. So whatever you need to do with price and quantity, you can do it here now. We also have the ability to do discounts and fees and taxes. And one thing that's very new that I forgot to add to my PowerPoint slide is this ability to create a payment schedule, which I'm using too old of a template for. But let me just fix that real quick. So if I try this one, we'll see if that works. No. All right. Well, I'm not going to be able to demo that. But if you want to give people the ability to, if you want to charge them, 25% initially, and then 5% each month for, I guess, a lot of months, then you can break that down in a payment schedule right here. And that will be reflected on the quote. So quotes and products are a rapidly evolving area. And you can now customize your quote templates, which is super fun. And that is essentially what I wanted to tell you. And my voice has made it this far. So I have not been monitoring the chat as closely as I intended to. I would love for you all, if you have questions or requests or ideas or anything else, to just pour them into the chat right now, and I'll address as many as I can. Even if it's kind of off topic, I want you to think of me as your access to HubSpot. I am here. I am with you. If you have a question that I don't know the answer to, I probably know somebody who knows the answer, and I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn or through email afterward and hook you up with the people you need. But yes, Enrique, I have a water bottle here, and I'm going to take a drink, and I would love for all of you to ask me some questions. I promise I'm not in as much pain as I sound like. I'm still here for it if you have questions.
Kyle, you still brought the energy, which we really appreciate. So we do have some questions that came through from Yvonne. What is your best tip for an admin to stay in the know about HubSpot changes and updates?
So at risk of totally sounding conceited, just follow me on LinkedIn. I have garnered some attention internally. The popularity of my LinkedIn post has made it clear to the highest leaders of HubSpot that we need a better way as a company to communicate out changes. I have sort of said half in jest many times, the fact that I'm so popular on LinkedIn says HubSpot is doing something wrong, right? Like HubSpot just needs to better document the changes as they come out. And we've made some progress in that regard. I would definitely recommend, if I can find my mouse, inside your account, if you just click on your menu right here, there's this product update section. And here you see a feed of all the updates that are coming out. Not every single update gets this sort of press release written about it. And this, I believe, is filtered to only show updates that affect the tools you currently have access to. So, for example, if you don't have an enterprise subscription to HubSpot, updates to custom objects, which are enterprise only, will not appear here. Some people really like that. Some people don't like that. There is no way, as far as I know, to see the full canonical list. I have found a few ways internally to hook myself up to various Slack channels and listservs and things. And I am just constantly aggregating. And that's how I put videos out on LinkedIn. It's definitely worth paying attention to this space. Down here, you can opt yourself into betas. So I mentioned several betas over the course of this call, and you can you can opt yourself in. So like surface pipeline stage properties when creating a record, that's the one I was talking about. You could opt yourself in here, or I'm already in it, so I can opt myself out. But this is the closest we have to something right now that is externally facing that shares updates. I am hoping sometime in 2023 there is some piece of the HubSpot.com website or the academy.hubspot.com website or somewhere where we aggregate together all the updates and make those available to you. I know many of you probably don't care a hoot about LinkedIn and would really love for my videos to exist somewhere outside of LinkedIn. And I am just kind of waiting for HubSpot to empower me to do that. So hopefully 2023, I'll have a better answer for you. But right now, I would say if you want to just read stuff and kind of get the highlights, this is a good place to go. And then following me on LinkedIn is always an okay idea, I think.
It is a real thing. If I did put Kyle's LinkedIn link in the chat, definitely follow Kyle. He brings the energy with the videos all the time, big product announcements, things like that. It's very useful. Going along the same line, Kyle, Mason was asking about, do you have any favorite betas that are out right now that everyone should go check out?
So, I mean, since we're here on the betas page, you can see some of them I haven't gotten a chance to play around with yet. I super love this one. I think this is such a game changer. So this is the one I showed you where if you have a required property for a deal stage, it's now required when you create a new deal. Property validations, I forget that this one's in beta, but property validations are super cool. And I don't think they're tied to any particular tier. I think regardless of what version of HubSpot you have this ability to create rules for your custom properties. So if you create a custom property, you can say it has to be a certain number of characters, or it can only have alphabet characters and not numbers in it or whatever. There are a few different rules you can put in place, which can be really powerful. Manage and visualize your data model. This is a custom objects feature. It's enterprise only, but this has two parts to it. One is we now have an in-app custom object builder. So if you want to define a new custom object, you don't have to run API calls anymore. You can just do it, and that's awesome. But then the other piece of it, I'll navigate away from this page to show you this because this is super cool, is this data model overview where if you have a lot of different objects and you're having trouble keeping track of how they're all connected to each other, you can see them here laid out visually, and you can turn some on and off to just like get down to very specific how things are connected. And I think that's really helpful if you're starting to have a very complex data model. And you can, I mean, these lines aren't perfect. We have an iteration coming of this that's going to make it so much better. That's part of why it's still in beta. But I mean, if I mouse over this, I can see deals are associated to companies, contacts, deliveries, shipments, and tickets. And so now there's no ambiguity. I know exactly what 5 objects this is associated with. And you can open it up and see what some of the properties are and the associations are. And I just think this is really powerful. So that's a fun beta.
Awesome. We have lots of beta questions.
Okay, come on.
So Mallory's asking, can you talk about data, the data quality that is in beta and why we should upgrade to Operations Enterprise to have access to this?
Yes. Yes. Let me show you this. This is great. This is one of my favorite things to have come out in recent days. It is in Operations Hub. So here I am on my contacts. We have this new data quality button here. It occurs to me there may be actually 2 different things you're talking about. Let me show you this one first. And if that's not the one you're talking about, I can show you the other one. But we've created this dashboard where you can see how your data is doing. So for your properties, you can see how many of your properties are unused, how many have no data in them, and how many are potentially duplicates. So the difference between no data and unused, no data means it's empty. I have 115 properties in my account here that I have not put any values into. Most of these I probably created in the course of LinkedIn demo videos and just created that one time and then never used. But that's a lot of properties just sitting empty. That is a red flag, and some of those can probably be deleted. Unused means regardless of whether they have values in them or not, there aren't any workflows or lists or views or those sorts of things using them. This is not necessarily an indication that the property isn't being used, right? Like if you think of, for example, a phone number property, your sales reps might access that every day as they call their contacts, but you might not be using it in any personalization tokens or lists or views or anything. And so this can be an indication that a property value is not being used, but it's not like necessarily slam dunk. And then duplicates. And the thing that's really great here is we can go deeper, right? If I click view all property insights, we get taken to this table. And if I'm curious, what are these duplicates? I can just click on that and look, indeed, I have a single line text property called employees, and I have one called number of employees. That is probably a duplicate. I have one called industry, and I have one called industry custom. Seems likely that that's a duplicate, right? And so this can really just help you get deep into what these look like. And then if we click on one of these, if we want to go deeper, how about became a customer date? We get this this chart here. And again, I apologize, I don't have any a whole lot of interesting data. But for this one property, we're looking at this became a customer date. We can see the name, the description, what object type it's on, when it's created, when it was last updated, what type it is. Fill rate, 32% of records have a value. But look, looking back 3 years, we can see when this was updated. And again, not a whole lot going on here. But actually, when we first rolled this out in HubSpot's own instance of HubSpot, we were looking at one of our properties. I forget which one. I think like a source property or something. And we were able to see months in the past, an automated system had gone berserk and filled it with a bunch of awful data. And we had no idea. But because we saw this random spike 3 months in the past, we were able to dig into it and clean it up, which is incredible. That's not the sort of thing we were ever able to do in HubSpot before. So this is one really great part of the data quality dashboard thing. But there are others, right? So like records. Here we've identified for contact records, there are some that might be duplicates and there are some that might have formatting issues. And for each of these, this will hop me into the deduplication tool that's been around a long time. And this one will take me to the new formatting issues tool, which when I said there are two different things you might mean by data quality, that's the other one I meant. And I'll show you that in just a second. And then if you have apps connected through data sync, which we have quite a few app integrations now that are powered by data sync, which is this real-time two-way sync. Here you can see all in one place how they're all doing. And if there are any sync failures or if there are no active syncs, you can see that in one chart. Whereas before this dashboard existed, you had to click into each integration individually to check on its health every day or every week or however often you want to do that, which is just ludicrous. Now you could just glance at this however often you want to and see right away if there are no problems, great. And if there are problems, dive right into it. So this is the data, we call it the data quality command center. I feel like this is a huge leap forward for Operations Hub. First of all, because it's valuable to everyone. And second of all, because Operations Hub has always kind of been this disconnected bundle of features. And there was like, if you upgrade to Operations Hub and you said, now where is Operations Hub? There wasn't really a place we could point to. It's like, oh, well, you have a few new integration tools and you have a few new workflow tools. But now here is real estate that belongs to Operations Hub, right? We can say, here is your Operations Hub home base. This is where you start, and it links out to the other things. So I think that's awesome. Just to very briefly, this formatting issues option will identify, for example, John typo here. We have missing or unexpected capitalization, and it is suggesting that his first name should instead be John, just first capital letter. And you can accept this. It looks at emails also and says, this is likely a temporary or invalid address. And look, it got me. Yep, these are burner emails that I use to create fake contacts at some point for a demo sometime. So you can go through these. You can accept or reject one at a time. But then you can also create automation. And you can just say, I want first name always the first letter be capitalized. I want last name always to just first letter be capitalized. And you can save these automations. And then what's really powerful is if you have, for example, a data sync integration that's adding new contacts all the time, they're going to go through this process and get cleaned up inside HubSpot, which is cool. But then data sync will pipe that information back into the external system. So your capitalization will get cleaned up in that system too, which is doubly cool. So you start to have really clean, consistent data, not just inside of HubSpot, but inside the systems connected to HubSpot as well. So that is the data quality stuff in Operations Hub.
Love that. I think you're right with Operations Hub. It always felt like this kind of like abstract tool of like, well, what does it actually do?
Right.
And I mean, even in like the partner community, we've had those conversations of like, well, what is the application for Ops Hub? I think these steps forward are really big. We do have some questions around HubSpot Academy.
Cool.
So Sean was asking, I have a HubSpot admin starting in 2 weeks. What HubSpot Academy courses do you recommend for new admins?
So this is the thing I'm working on. Let me give you the current lay of the land. It's not great, and I apologize in advance that it's not great. Would love for your new admin to join my admin hug. But if you HubSpot Academy, let's see, I think it's called Systems Admin Learning Path. This is a hidden thing. You probably didn't know it existed. The only way to find it, I'm pretty sure, is through Google. I did not create this. It was created at some point in the past, sort of as an experiment in SEO, I think. But what we've done is we've pulled together a whole bunch, like 13 different HubSpot Academy lessons that are relevant to HubSpot admins. I cannot speak to what the status of these are, if they've been updated recently, if this is the best collection, but this is what we have right now. My top priority for 2023 is to make the admin space better for you in HubSpot Academy. So my top priority is I really want to build a robust HubSpot admin certification, which I'm thinking of as just the assessment, the thing you can take to validate your skills, to prove to the market that you are a capable admin of a HubSpot portal. That is kind of step one for me. Once that exists, I will update this learning path. I will create a bunch of content. I will start to orchestrate an academy experience that will prep people to be able to pass that exam. But first, I've got to figure out what it is you all do for a job and what those most important skills are. If you have opinions on that, please connect with me. Send them to me. I'm looking for all the input I can get. The main thing I can promise you in the short term is early next year, probably in February, we will be launching a HubSpot admin bootcamp. So this will be free. It'll be a 6-week training. You'll get together once a week for 6 weeks, and you will be trained on HubSpot stuff. And then you will be sent off to practice that HubSpot stuff for a week. And then you'll come back together and you'll get trained on more stuff and get sent off again. It's going to be 6 weeks long. We plan to run it at least 4 times in 2023. First time will start in February. We're working right now to define the exact curriculum and scope of that. But keep your eyes open. Once that's available, once registration for that is available, I will be trumpeting that as loudly as I can, because it is the first time in HubSpot Academy history we've created a net new training experience specifically for admins. And I feel like that's a huge recognition of the work you're all doing, that HubSpot has finally decided to invest in this space. So as far as what's currently available in HubSpot Academy, I will just drop this into the chat. This is somewhat apologetically the only thing I can offer you today. That and my admin hug, right? Have that admin you're about to hire come join my hug. I will probably do things every HubSpot admin needs to know on some recurring basis because it changes so fast. But in February, we will have a boot camp, and sometime next year, we will have a certification exam. And sometime after that next year, we will hopefully start to have trainings dedicated to admins. So that's my 2023 plan as it currently exists. I reserve the right to fine tune it as time goes on, but I really do intend to deliver all of these things next year. So feel free to hold me to that.
Well, everyone's going to follow you on LinkedIn now, so they're going to badger you if that doesn't happen.
Okay. Please do.
Had a couple questions about playbooks. Is the data captured through playbooks able to be transferred through integrations to other programs?
Sort of depends. So if you have that enterprise version and you're piping that information into properties, then yes, of course, you can access them in workflows. You can access them through API calls, all of that. If you're just saving your, oh boy, okay, now I'll get back into my portal here. If you're just saving the playbook to the timeline, that's going to be a whole lot trickier. So if we open a contact here, I'll just show you really quickly what happens when we do this one. So this one is not connected to any properties, right? and we just, here are some notes, right? The VP of sales, actually it's SVP of sales. We have these goals, and also going to Disneyland, right? Whatever they write. And this was a connected call, and it was a demo. And we're going to log this call. Great. So what's going to happen is this gets put on the timeline right here. And all of this is just kind of text on the timeline along with some kind of metadata, I guess you could call it here. So that's where it exists. I am not a developer at all, but HubSpot's APIs are pretty good. So there might be a way you could dig in and pull this out, but it wouldn't be pretty and it would be a lot of work. But if it's really important to you, that is something worth exploring with someone who knows more about this stuff than I do. So I don't know if that helps, but hopefully that at least gives you some context about what you would actually be getting here.
Awesome. A question from Jory. Do you have any go-to recommendations for managing child-parent companies with different geographic branches and associating contacts to them?
Cool. I have not played enough with parent-child companies to have really robust recommendations here. I also see Ume in the chat asking if they can create, asking, can I create many-to-many relationship between parent and child company using custom objects? Sounds like Trish is working on this too. I don't have a good answer for this. If you all want to reach out to me either on LinkedIn or email me, I'll drop my email in here at hubspot.com. I'm happy to look into that a little bit more. I don't want to just make something up and be wrong. So that's your answer on parent-child companies for now.
I think that's fair. Brendan was asking, how many HubSpot admins do you recommend per company?
So this is a very hotly debated topic. It depends a lot. So if your company is using just one hub, like if you're marketing hub only, or if you're using multiple hubs, but you're like in the starter tier, you could probably get by just fine without a full-time, fully dedicated HubSpot admin. Many companies have been doing that for most of the time HubSpot has existed. I would say once you have multiple hubs and you're at the professional or above tier, now you at least need a dedicated admin, and you might need more. It depends a lot on how much stuff you're doing. So I think kind of most typical area where I start seeing a dedicated admin existing is you have marketing and sales hub and maybe service hub at least the pro level or pro and enterprise, some combination of that. Now, just the nature of the data you're holding inside of HubSpot is sensitive enough and mission critical enough that you really need someone thinking about it and owning it strategically. HubSpot is easy enough to use. One person can probably do that job by their own, unless you're running at some enormous scale, which you may be, in which case you might start needing specialized admins. One for like your email deliverability stuff and one for like your CRM data stuff or something like that. If you are, enterprise everything, all 5 hubs, you're probably going to need a small team of admins because now HubSpot is doing everything, right? It's your entire front office, and you've probably got a ton of integrations hooked up to it. And one person is probably not going to be enough to really give proper watch care over that crucial data that your business thrives on. But I mean, I don't because we explicitly specialize in the small and mid-sized business space. I haven't met a HubSpot company yet that needs like a full department of admins, right? Like with different levels of admins and things. We are starting to have some pretty big companies as customers, but when I say big companies, I mean like 1,000 to 2,000 employees, right? We do not have Boeing or Microsoft or Apple as our customer, right? That's just not who we're focused on. We're focused on you all, the small and mid-sized businesses who want to grow. So I think there comes a point where you definitely need at least one admin, but I think in general, you probably don't need a whole lot more than that. But I'd be curious to know if some of you feel differently, if you have a small team of admins or a large team of admins and you feel like that's really necessary, I would love to know more about that, as I'm trying to understand this space myself and create credentials and things.
That's awesome. And so I think as we're coming up on time, want to be respectful of everyone's time. And there were a few other questions kind of in the Q&A, a lot around like, are these things coming down the pipeline?
Yeah.
So those things, Kyle is very good about making those announcements. Again, follow him on LinkedIn. And like as those things come out in beta or changes are made, Kyle will be posting videos and sharing that content through there. So thank you, Kyle. This has all been awesome. We even have, like, I've had my team chatting in our chat system of like, oh, that's awesome. I didn't know we could do that now. So really happy with all the content here. And it is, I think HubSpot's just going to keep you busy with all the changes coming by the minute. There probably been a dozen new changes made while we've been on this.
Maybe so.
And so thank you all for joining. This has been our Q4 Boulder Hug. We will have another event coming up in Q1 of 2023, which is crazy that we're even talking about 2023 already. Yeah. But keep the conversation going. Like I said, follow Kyle on LinkedIn. We also have a Boulder HubSpot user group, LinkedIn group. I'm going to put that in the chat here as well. Join that group. That's where we'll keep you updated on any of the new stuff that comes out, upcoming events, things like that. And, if you do have other questions that didn't get answered today, feel free to reach out to Kyle, reach out to me, post them in the Boulder Hug LinkedIn group. And yeah, Kyle, thanks so much for all the great information and powering through your sickness.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. And thanks everyone for putting up with a voice that sounds sort of like nails on chalkboard. I hope that it was not too painful for anyone.
Absolutely. Thanks everyone. See you in Q1.
Bye.